Alright guys, let's see if we can get one good amulet out of 1,000 Obols, which is basically the maximum amount that you can have, so let's go ahead and go for it. So, we'll also kind of talk about what makes an amulet good in this video. So, ideally, these are kind of the stats that you're looking for on an amulet for most characters. You're looking for cooldown reduction as pretty much the main priority stat. You're also looking to try to get some resource cost reduction and movement speed, as those are kind of the most important stats for most builds. There could be some sort of passive that you want, but those are the main skills or stats that you're looking for on your amulet. So this one over here, not going to be too useful. Let's go next one over here. And once I get a good one, I'm going to stop because I want to save my Obols for another character. So over here we have cooldown reduction. It got the lowest roll. I'm not going to even read further into it because like getting any sort of like additive damage, well, it did roll like perfect on one of them. It still doesn't really matter. It's not going to be a good stat. So next up we have another one over here. And let's see what this one gives us. So we have imbuement cooldown reduction. That could be good, but I'd always want to have regular cooldown reduction, so none of those are actually good. Maybe we'll go like 3 at a time over here, so we can kind of do it a little faster. So none of these are good. Unfortunately, it rolled Deadly Venom, but it only rolled 1. If it rolled 2 of them, sometimes that could be okay, as Poison is pretty good for PvP, as well as getting that damage reduction. While injured, that can be actually good for Druid if you wanted to build it, like a Druid build for that. But nothing over here. Damage swaps. And now you ideally just don't want a pink one for Rogue. And the reason why you don't want a pink one, and what I mean by that is the socket. Blue is totally fine, or if you get orange, orange is probably the most priority one that you want to try to get, because you obviously, Barber can go in anywhere, and then you want Revenge, and then maybe something gives you extra crit damage, or some sort of extra damage is generally what you want, but that one had like none of the stats what we wanted, so let's go. Another 3 over here. We don't really care if it's legendary or not. So we got movement speed, a high roll movement speeds, okay, it's got thorns, damage with dual wielded weapons, and lucky hit while you have a barrier that rolled perfect. Surprisingly, this is actually good for a very, very, very niche build. So there is a niche build where you are going to be using thorns for Rogue, and it's a really strange thing that we actually happen to get a perfect lucky hit chance on this. Surprisingly, this was actually a really, really good amulet. For a niche build. It's not going to be something that most people will actually want, but it's more of a fun project that I had in the back of my head for another video. And crit strike chance against injured enemies is kind of worthless, especially since most people use the Barber anyways. So this one over here, we don't really have anything good. It has imbuement cooldown reduction, but the arm time of traps is just kind of memes for the most part. We got one good amulet so far, which I'm actually pretty excited about. So this one over here, we've got movement speed, strength. It's got basically 2 bad stats that we can't really make great use out of. So here we got pretty good cooldown reduction. We get damage reduction from close, and then another set of damage reduction, and then dexterity. So this one's actually not that bad. Just getting a lot of damage reduction can be great. Instead of the dexterity, which it did roll like a relatively low. I've already have like a build where we kind of stack dex, and you can see we have that 1100 right here. This one surprisingly can be good for a lot of different characters. I could roll that dexterity to, let's see, resource cost reduction, and then I have overall a pretty decent defensive amulet. So honestly, we've gotten 2 good amulets so far, and I just used the gems over here so I can kind of have like a placeholder of like what I know is actually good. And then this one we could just read it for the legendary aspect, but the legendary aspect isn't good, so it doesn't really matter too much. Now we got 280 left over here, but I'm actually pretty happy so far with what we've gotten. We got at least one good one. Again, it's for a very niche thing. Ideally, one thing that I do want to try to get is trap, imbuement, and regular cooldown reduction for another like niche build. There's so many like weird things that I want to like build for, but it's really difficult to get to have everything roll what you want. This one we got movement speed, we got thorns, we got imbuement, and we got trap cooldown reduction. It's only sacred too, so pretty much once it's sacred, you can just kind of sign it out unless it rolls to the point where you can get it over 725. And unfortunately, this one is so close, but it's not there yet because you can get plus 25 by going up for the plus 5 out of 5 over here. So this guy's, I guess, like it doesn't really matter what it rolls as long as it's 725, unless it's a weapon. Ideally with weapon you want a high roll, although if you're not actually using your weapon, like if we're playing Twisting Blades, then the stats don't really matter unless it's 725. But if you're actually using the weapon, then it does matter. But nonetheless, yeah, this one unfortunately was sacred, so we don't even need to read further on this. Next one has Thorns, we've got Ranks of Exploit, and then we have damage after killing an elite. It does have pretty high Thorns. Again, there's a niche build that I want to run, and I already got a pretty decent one that has movement speed, which is good, and it's got Thorns, and it's got lucky hit chance, which is like, it's so hard to get all of the stats that you want for an amulet. It's one of the worst things. Yeah, that is bad luck for the Baron. We got one blue item over here, and unfortunately that was not very good. Let's see if we can just get okay, because we just wanted to spend the full 1,000 Obols. So let's go ahead and do a quick little recap of what we got. I actually am relatively happy because we got 2 pretty decent amulets at the end of the day over here. And so we're going to go ahead and salvage all the rest. And the 2 good ones are over there. And that's how I kind of know which ones are good. I'm just going to double check. Just in case I skipped out on any. Sometimes that can happen if you're just like looking at them a little bit too fast. I don't think any of these are good. But yeah, getting movement speed is pretty key. It lets you dodge certain things. If you've ever tried to do Uber Lilith, yeah, movement speed is a very, very, very nice to have. Okay, yeah, these ones are... Get rid of all of these. And so we get our material, and these are our 2 amulets that we ended up with. So we have one if I want to build a Thorns build. This one can actually be used for multiple classes. I would just roll the damage with dual wielded weapons to cooldown reduction, as that's one of the most important stats that you can get. And then with this one over here, we would roll off, because it already has cooldown reduction, I'd roll off the dexterity for... because it already has cooldown reduction. I can roll a lot of different things on this one. So basically, we got 2 good amulets. Unfortunately, since they are both legendaries, it actually makes it worth a little bit less because, well, now we cannot actually trade these. Otherwise, this one would be a pretty good item to potentially trade for, maybe a couple hundred million. It's actually really good for defensive stats because it also has cooldown reduction. It's not the perfect cooldown reduction, but damage reduction from close enemies is almost perfect, and then the other one is like relatively okay. So yeah, and like I said, amulets are just a nightmare to roll. So 2 good items out of 1,000 Obols. Anyways, that's the results. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like, subscribe if you're new, if you want to see more Diablo and other gaming content. See you in the next video. Ooh, I could build my Thorns Rogue. It's not actually trolls. I actually think it's pretty good. Anyways, peace out.